So thank you for everyone who's got us this far this morning. I think that set us up nicely for the first discussion of the day, which will be navigating the future of metrology. And we have a beautiful musical interlude from the Malick DIAW band before we have our first panel of the day. Gentlemen. In a lovely headspace for that promised discussion that's going to be led by Dr Maguelonne Chambon, in which we will be looking at navigating the future of metrology, addressing scientific and technical multilateralism challenges. Maguelonne, over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, it's really an honor to be there today. But before to start this session, first I am sure that we will all agree, I would like to really thank Dr. Bill Phillips, because I think that he's really the best ambassador of the Meter Convention. Thanks really, Dr. Phillips, for that. So now we will start this session on the multilateral cooperation. And just I would like to introduce this subject, and for that I will first ask the panelists to join me on this table. So I will first call Mr. 𝐬𝐭, Director, Division of Science Policy and Basic Science, Natural Science Sector at UNESCO, Mr. Sorry. Then the second panelist, Professor Alessandro De Angelis, Scientific Attaché at the Permanent Delegation of Italy to the International Organization to Paris. I will continue with Professor Mustafa Setinas, presently Director of the TÜBİTAK UME, the National Metrology Institute in Turkey. Sharon Mae Smith-Walker, Chief Executive Officer of CARICOM, the Regional Organization for Standard and Quality in Jamaica. And last but not least, Dr. Victoria Coleman, the National Metrology Institute of Australia. So thanks to all these panelists to be with us this morning. So just to introduce, for the beginning of this morning, of this day, you understood that, and you know that BIPM was founded in 1875, that it's the oldest international organization based in Sèvres, and the second oldest in the world after the ITU, the International Telecommunication Union. This is really also an important step, but we had also a second step with the creation of OIML, the Organisation Internationale de Métrologie Légale, who has been founded in 1955, so it's also an important day for them, I guess. So whilst the BIPM started just with 70 members in 1875, we are now more than 100 member states or associates, and this is really a fantastic adventure. The growth of BIPM has been continuous over these 150 years, and the participation also has grown, and the work, because when you see all the work done from 1875 up to now, it has been a very long step. If you look in particular at the CIPM-MRA, mutual recognition arrangement in 1999, from capacity and measurement capabilities, that was a really enormous step, but also on capacity building, because it was important for BIPM to have all its members participating in this organization. So this is really a big step that has been done by BIPM, and as you know, this session, and thanks to BIPM to have put this session just after the talk of Bill Phillips, this put us comfortable for sure. So this session will provide the opportunity to the panelists to highlight the benefits for multilateral cooperation on technical and scientific topics, such as metrology, and also to look ahead to possible future strategy for international organization. And this has been underlined by our representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr Lamy. Comme je suis citoyenne française, il ne m'est pas possible de ne pas dire 3 mots en français, étant donné que la langue de la métrologie est le français. Donc je remercie tous les panélistes d'être là, et je suis très fière de pouvoir participer à cette journée mondiale de la métrologie, qui représente dans notre histoire française une étape capitale. Merci au BIPM pour cela. So, we will continue, and we will start this round table on this topic. Yes, it's working. Yes, it's working? Yeah. So, I think that we will start. So we'll have 5 panelists, some questions to these panelists. I will first start by Mr. Hu. So Xiaofeng, if you want to start. So you are the director of the Division of Science Policy and Basic Science at the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Can you give us some short statement on what you are, who you are?
Yeah, I'm the Xiaofeng Hu, and that's who I am. And so I'm the director of the science policy and the basic science. Basically, you see, we are promoting science policy and like the open science, like the women in science and the science popularization, science communication, science literacy. And we also, you see, try to work with global partner and to update, you see, the trends, the frontier of the science technology development and the building the capacity of the STI science technology innovation system in the global south. That's basically what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I will start with one first question about diplomacy and scientific diplomacy, and I think that presently it's quite important. We see that. The International Decade of Science for Sustainable Development, led by UNESCO, has emphasized the importance of scientific diplomacy, local engagement, and cross-sector collaboration. what insight does this provide about the unique role of metrology in your point of view? Yeah.
Thank you. And really, you see the science, international decade of science for the sustainable development is a very big initiative that's proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in the 2023 August in New York. So it's really given us a chance and the globally how we can force the international, the SDG implementation by using the science and the technology. And the UNESCO as the lead agency for coordinating the implementation, we coordinated all the partners, developed the strategic plan, and we set up of the institutional structure for the implementation. And among you see the international, the science decade, and we identified very three key pillars and under the science decade. The first one is really science diplomacy, and how you see that globally we can work together and to really advance science through the global incorporation and to really to reach you see the SDG target. And the second, you see, like what you said, you see, we really want to engage all in the science development process and also benefit the science. So that's why we say that get local and get, you see, all the unpresented, undeserved, you see, the group to be engaged in this process. And we also like really promote the intersectoral, interdisciplinary cooperation, because what we face today, we need really, you see, the cross-sector collaboration. So in this regard, really, you see, the metrology give us a good opportunity for us, is very, very essential for us. So as we all talked about, I like you see the what you just, the screen in the film, and we know you see the metrology, how important for the policy making, how important and for the driving the science progress in the next. And also we know you see that really the metrology is really the objective and is neutral and universally you see the comparable. So that's really you see the basis for us to build you see the trusted framework for the science collaboration, for all the collaboration. That's why we say you see the metrology is the fundamental, is the cornerstone for us to move forward under science diplomacy and for the implementation of the international science decade in the next few years. I think I just stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Xiaofang. I think that you underline what is really important, and I think that all my colleagues will agree that metrology is really cross-disciplinary, that we are always comparing ourselves to the others, and that's really important and neutral science to develop new innovation, and that's thanks for that. If I continue with a second question, how can global metrology community engage in the implementation of the science decade for the pursuit of sustainable development goals? So really sustainability for the metrology. Yes?
So basically you want to ask, you see the metrology and...
How do you think that the metrology community can engage the implementation of science?
Yeah, that's okay. That's a really good question, and I think that we discussed, and the metrology is really the basis for the science progress, like the professor just mentioned, and we still also face a lot of challenge. And in this area, as I already mentioned, is for the science policy. For the policy making, the metrology is really provided the trusted framework for all the community to work together, to communicate each other. And like you see for the SDGs, in all the different, you see, SDG areas, we need to have measurement. And for the carbon dioxide emission, so we need to really have the measurement, and we need to really measurement the pollutant if we want to get the collaboration. We need to measure, you see, the renewable energy efficiency in the different area. So we can really, you see, for the carbon credit exchange, the trading, we also need to have the very reliable measurement. Then you see we can build, you see, the trusted system, reliable system for us to move forward. Of course, and we understand, you see, like a lot of the speaker already mentioned, the metrology is really behind. It's not visible. It's the enabler, but it's a hidden enabler. So we hope through the science decade, we can also use it to bring more visibility for the metrology, for the young generation. They can learn, they can love, they can get engaged in the metrology. Yeah. And also currently we saw that you see still some countries, they are still in the process right now to adopt, you see, the metro system. The Metro Convention. So we still have a long way to go, and hopefully through this science decade, and which provide the good platform for us and to build, to enhance metrologic, infrastructure and for the sustainable development. That's a good opportunity. Let's try to work together, working with the different sectors, working with the different international organizations, and within our country with different ministries, and working with the schools even. And so we have very, very good opportunity for us to work together. We can initiate, the proposals, and long-term, short-term, globally, locally. So that's all what we can do. And I just want to highlight maybe one thing, you see, for our science, the decade is really, you see, decentralize the process. And we really depend on all the partners. They can initiate under their mandate by using their resource, but we just provide the platform for us to work together and to show that we are working, we are there, and we can collaborate. So that's, you see, the center of the science decade. It's just the platform. So that's really the good platform, and it's a good opportunity for the metrology and to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Xiaofeng. So now we will go to another topic, and it will be to highlight the historic role of metrological association as a foundation for international cooperation and economical integration. And we are all participating in regional metrology organizations. So I would like Sharon Mae to answer to some questions. So Sharon Mae, what makes technical cooperation in quality infrastructure, especially for metrology, because we have dealing with metrology today, in the Caribbean community, a unique public good that benefits in all participating nations?
Thank you, Maguelonne. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the audience and online, especially those watching from the Caribbean. Good day to you all. I am Sharon Mae, Dr. Sharon Mae Smith-Walker, and I'm the CEO of the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality, CROSSQ. And on behalf of the 15 member states that I represent today, I'd like to say Happy World Metrology Day and Happy 150th Anniversary. I had to get that in. Now to your question. What makes technical cooperation in quality infrastructure, especially for metrology in the Caribbean community, a unique public good that benefits all participating nations? I'll answer the question in the context of the very insightful theme, Measurements for All Times, for All Peoples. This theme emphasizes the concept of community, irrespective of geography, irrespective of age or nationality. We work together as one. It reminds me so well of an extant metrological question raised in the Bible in Isaiah 40, verse 12, which says, "Who hath measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with a span, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales and the hills in a balance?" This inspired question confirms community, inferring that the three branches of metrology connects to the omnipotent designer of the universe who anchors all peoples. And we saw that we had to return to nature to define the meter using light. As a community in the Caribbean, we collaborate through the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality to grow our regional quality infrastructure using shared resources supporting standardization, metrology, and accreditation. And this is reinforced using quality promotions across the region. We accord with a wider CARICOM family through the theme, Strength in Unity. And though we are constrained by economic and technical resources, we are resolute in creating a regional quality infrastructure that advances the health and well-being of Caribbean peoples, but more importantly, supports regional and international trade. Our cooperation in metrology is a case in point. Jamaica led the region in becoming the first associate member of the CGPM in 2003. Yes, just the other day. And soon after, the newly formed Caribbean community, representing 11 member states, became a member in 2005 to the CGPM. And these 11 member states include Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago. Together, we have a total of 23 CMCs. Yes, you may think it's very small, but to us, it's a big deal. And those CMCs are concentrated in mass and mass standards. We have a long way to go to catch you up, and we have several comparisons. Our aim through our technical cooperation is to have the other 3 member states become a part of the CARICOM CGPM group and to increase our CMCs and comparisons to support our regional developmental initiatives. Our regional construct is indeed a unique public good because it enables all 15 member states of the CARICOM region to benefit from the metrological capabilities within the region. Individually, our member states are unable to create the kinds of laboratories that may be common in developed countries. And so together we work to support each other. And this is why, for us, it is truly a public good.
Thank you very much. So I will go to a second question, if you want, Sharon May.
Sure.
In the context of CARICOM efforts, what is the future outlook for enhancing international cooperation, undergirded by regional engagement? Are there specific challenges or success stories that illustrate the benefit for regional harmonized quality infrastructure? You gave us an example of calibration and measurement capabilities. This is one point. Do you have some other one?
I will share another. The CARICOM member states cooperate regionally to bolster our regional quality infrastructure. And it's important to understand how crucial our metrological capabilities is to our regional quality infrastructure. As a matter of fact, I would consider it the linchpin in our quality infrastructure. Why do I say this? We have national standards bureaus across our member states, but each member state on its own, as I mentioned before, is unable, and perhaps it would be financially and technically impracticable for each member state to build out the pillars of the quality infrastructure. So with respect to metrology, with respect to accreditation, we have to share our resources. We, through the metrological capabilities established in the region, we were able to establish 2 accreditation bodies, one in Jamaica and one in Trinidad and Tobago. And it is a consequence of where we are metrologically now that the accreditation body in Jamaica was able to become a signatory to the ILAC MRA for 5 different scopes. We are thankful that we have an accreditation body that closes the quality infrastructure pillar in the region. Without the support from metrology, we would not have been able to accomplish this. And so we have a crucial path to resilience in our CARICOM nations. We must work together to support each other. And this is crucial for our trade because, as you know, the World Trade Organization, through its technical barrier to trade agreement, requires that we have transparent conformity assessment procedures and systems. And if we do not have a complete quality infrastructure, then certainly we are going to be left behind. Despite our progress, however, we continue to face significant challenges. And especially as we're focusing on metrology, I'm going to focus on some of the constraints that we have with metrology. Or metrology legislation. For many of our member states, our laws are outdated and they are not harmonized with international specifications. This is something that we are working on, but there's a lot of work left to be done. We speak of traceability, and I'm so honored to be here at the heart of where it started. We have gaps in our traceability. We want to ensure that when we are moving our sensitive artifacts across the region or in Latin America, to have them calibrated, that we don't lose them, as occurs sometimes, or have them damaged. We have these issues with the logistics within the region. In terms of our capacity to advance metrology for meteorology, which is crucial for us as small island developing states, especially with the issue of climate change, we need more resources. Training and capacity building, we are grateful for the support that we have received from our partners right across the world, but there is so much more need for us to have our technical team members build the kinds of competencies and capabilities that we need to drive metrological revolution in this generation. We continue, even as we have our senior metrologists leave to go to, greener pastures. So we continue to have the brain drain. Even as we build, we lose some of our key people. So there is a critical place where we are today with digital transformation. We are challenged because we need significant resources to keep a pace with technology. And if we are unable to keep a pace with where we are, then we look into the future and see more challenges because we need the agility. We need to move quickly to ensure that our consumers, the peoples of the Caribbean, or traders and manufacturers are able to perform at the level that is required to meet their developmental agendas. And it is because of this why we must leverage our relationships. We must build relationships. We have to continue to grow our relationships because it is through the community, through those of you who are stronger, who are able to help us to meet these challenges that we face. I think that is it.
Thank you very much, Sharon Mai. I will continue before giving the floor to Professor Angelis. I will give also some word on the experience of EURAMET, because EURAMET is a regional metrology organization for Europe, and centrally it's like in Caribbean, but in another way. In Europe, it has been really important, especially after 1989 with the reconstruction of Europe, to have a strong regional metrology organization. This strong scientific and technical cooperation has enabled integration of many countries into the European Union, and this is a continuous process, and it's important also for all of us. This has been also strongly reinforced, and we had the chance and the opportunity to have some European Commission who has funded some research project, to really push all the European countries to strongly and deeply collaborate together. This collaborative project structure has really strengthened relationship between all our metrology laboratory in Europe. This is not only the point research it's important, but we had also like BIPM initiative, we had some strong initiative on capacity building and knowledge transfer to really push all the country to collaborate together, and Mustafa will give us some statement later on. So I think that's in another way, it's not like Caribbean, but we have also this, we saw this strong collaboration around the year increase, and we know that to face the new challenges that we had, as said Dr. Phillips this morning, on the quantum technology, on digitalization, we have to continue our effort to work together, to collaborate together, and to really continue this quality infrastructure to be the best as possible to answer to all the challenges on the Meter Convention. So, Professor Alessandro, dear Alessandro, can you introduce yourself, and then I will ask you a question. Sorry, Sharon Mayer, I forgot to introduce yourself. Alessandro, please.
I'm Alessandro De Angelis, and I am a professor of physics in Padova, and I work presently as responsible for science and technology for the permanent delegation of Italy to the international organization. By formation, I am a particle physicist. I worked at CERN for some 10 years, and then I came back to Italy as a professor, and I started working to astrophysics. And I have a hobby, I'm a scholar of Galileo. So if you have questions on Galileo later, I can answer.
So in this session, we thought important that we give some other strong example of collaboration and multilateral cooperation. So what are the primary motivation for nations to invest in large-scale big science collaboration like CERN, this was an example, or the Square Kilometer Array? So,
thank you. So I start with the CERN because CERN is a success story, but we will see that also the SKA, the Square Kilometer Array, is a fascinating story that is just starting now. And some other stories will start with the Einstein telescope for gravitational waves. The primary motivation for investing in these international collaborations is, of course, to produce science, because some problems are not at a scale that can be faced by single countries. And, but another strong motivation is to produce public goods which are not just a fallout of this organization, but are at the basis of the technical success of these organizations. Probably many of you have in the memory the first image of a black hole. The black hole, okay, it was not really a first image of a black hole, but it was a picture in which you could see something that was that had the dimension of the 10 times the horizon of the events. I mean, the mysterious region that contours a black hole. And this was an incredible success, something that I couldn't imagine when I was a student. And this was was produced by using the full planet as a single telescope. So if you want to do this, you need to make an international collaboration of many telescopes covering the full face of a planet, and then possibly to make the use of the orbit of the Earth. So this gives a perception of the unity of our planet, like the pictures of the Earth taken from the Moon. And it is something that we should take into account. And this is impossible without an international collaboration, and in the future we will have at least 2 sites of 1 square kilometer with radio waves, which we need to be synchronized to make a unique telescope, and possibly synchronized with other detectors with accuracies that are unbelievable. They are of the order of 1/100th of a trillionth of a second, which, by the way, is something that will be discussed later in this, because it's not far from the intrinsic accuracy in the definition of time nowadays. But the other example, as I said, is related to the production of public goods, and there CERN is a wonderful example, which is the World Wide Web. Think if the World Wide Web would have been produced by a single nation. probably we would have more problems than we have now. So the essence of international collaboration in science is also to push technology and science at the limit, at the possible limit. Second, I would say that international scientific collaboration offer a model for international cooperation in which you automatically have a decision by consensus, and consensus is not counting the votes, but it is a leadership from intellectual contribution, irrespective of hierarchy, of age, of country of origin, of gender. The agreement comes automatically when you are in a scientific organization. This is a nice thing. A third point that is present in these times is that international collaborations are an example of peace and cooperation between different countries. Like, for example, in the Middle East, there is a collaboration which is called 𝐬𝐴, which has the same principle of CERN, and where all the scientists of the countries, surrounding countries, work peacefully. And when there are some closures towards colleagues, we always say that science is international. So this is a point that we want to affirm, and we are sure as scientists that this is the right way. I mean, we are sure it is the right way. As you said, Maguelonne, another point is capacity building, and there CERN was also a good example. And finally, the economic and technological return should be stressed. We will need more models like CERN and other organizations to tackle other truly common problems like climate change and artificial intelligence and so on, because these need a global collaboration to be solved. The last thing about this question that I want to stress is that while for other topics diplomacy has driven the organization, here it became more or less automatic to transform associations of scientists into international organizations. So there was not the need to transfer the power from the state to an international organization, but as a matter of fact, it came automatic that some organization was needed, and the model still works very well.
Thank you. Can I ask you a second question? So you said and you underlined that in support for such multilateral, multinational scientific endeavors, growing as countries recognize the importance of shared knowledge and technology innovation, like CERN, this is a very good example, or is there a trend of waning interests? What factors influence these dynamics, and what can be learned from recent trend in support?
Well, we presently see a mixed trend, because on one hand we recognize that international organizations, in particular for science, are good. On the other hand, there are several factors that somehow push to reduce the collaboration of states and the transfers of the power from the states to the international organizations. And I see that on one hand, we are sure, that things like artificial intelligence or synthetic biology will need an overall global collaboration. On the other hand, some states show some waning interest, and they push for fragmentation. Even some states that before they were pushing for open science and so on, open science is clearly the key for the collaboration, now are somehow denying the power of open science because of fear, basically. And I believe that scientists should not have fear, and people should not have fear. And we should not be afraid of things like intellectual property, because in the end, intellectual property is like the light. The light of the sun is for everybody. And so some other points that are discussed that I hear in my new job as a worker in a diplomatic delegation is that people are afraid of the cost I believe that after the COVID, the world would have changed for the better, and we will be all cooperating for a better society, more ecological. But I was wrong. It didn't work like this. We didn't learn a lot from COVID, it seems to me. But actually, after the COVID, there were some national pressures to keep the resources. And another point is the geopolitics that is particularly complicated during these times. But I believe that the key of the political perception is the will from the people. And somehow the will of the people seems also worried by the cost of scientific organization, the fact that there are some people that are out of control of the state, while science is by definition out of control and is in control by definition. My solution to this is education. I mean, in the end, I believe that democracy should be based on education, and if we educate the people, we convince the people, also with open science, of course, we have to work and to make to understand why the money is spent. In the end, the trend will not be no more a mixed trend, but everybody will be convinced that international cooperation, also structured by intergovernmental organization, is a good thing for science.
Thank you very much. So I think, yes, we are all also aware that education and training, and that's also some important points to have a new, in the future, new metrologists, and to support all this international organization as well. Thanks a lot, Alessandro. Now we will go to a second topic. We will discuss also of capacity building, but not only. We will discuss strategy for international organization to remain relevant and effective in the future, especially in an environment where some states may seek to challenge existing structure. We know that for all of us sometimes. So I introduce Victoria Coleman from NMIA from Australia. Can you introduce yourself, please, Victoria?
Thank you, Maguelonne, and happy World Metrology Day. My name is Dr. Victoria Coleman. I'm coming from the National Measurement Institute in Australia. I have a background in nanotechnology, so one of the emerging areas of science and measurement. And I'm also a member of the International Committee of Weights and Measures, which is a huge privilege for me. And in that capacity, I also have been working together with the CIPM and the BIPM on this new initiative around universal adherence.
Yeah. So yes, this is an important point that we will speak about. So you mentioned the universal adherence, and that's true that in the General Conference in 2022, the plans agreed to aim the universal adherence to the Meter Convention, and this will reflect ambition for greater inclusivity and access to global measurement framework. What are the key benefits behind these ambition plans? Victoria, what do you think about?
So we heard a lot today already about metrology à tout le temps, à tout le peuple, and I think it's really important to reflect on the fact that whilst we have the technical aspect of that covered, especially with the redefinition, which has really democratized access to the SI and to measurement standards, we now have this really important role, I guess, as an organisation to think about how we can also further democratise our own organisation of the BIPM. And I think that's part of the drive that we're aiming to achieve through universal adherence. So we've heard today, I think already, that we have about 101 states and associates participating in our activities, and that leaves about somewhere between 80 and 90 states in the world that currently are not formally a part of the BIPM. But I guess it's worth reflecting that, you know, we know that nearly all nations, all states are using the SI, are using UTC, and are also celebrating World Metrology Day. And we've heard also from many of the other speakers, and Sharon May in particular, about the importance of metrology and measurement to trade, to quality of life, to, you know, ensuring benefits for all of us. So there's this real drive to make sure that those states who are really interested in participating can come on board. and we will go to the next General Conference proposing a new membership category or observer status, which really hopes to bring those countries, those states into our family and further strengthen our organisation, because essentially we know that this amazing organisation that we've built essentially on consensus is really stronger when we all participate together and when we all come together. And I think after 150 years of a long history where there have been challenges in the past, I know we're also entering challenging geopolitical times again, but I think the framework that's provided by the metrology of science and being able to come together and speak a universal language and use that language to tackle some of these big challenges of our time is really important. And also, because many of those states that currently aren't participating that we really want to target with this initiative have a low GDP, for example. Things like capacity building and knowledge transfer will be increasingly important to those states, and being able to provide a framework and a strong base within the BIPM to really leverage that multilateralism and work potentially with other international organisations to the benefit of all of us is something that certainly I'm really excited about, and I know my colleagues are also really excited for.
Yes, thank you, Victoria. And I think that this is really the spirit of the Meta Convention, to disseminate the wider as possible, and that we have all these countries who are not still in the Meta Convention, but you use the SI. It's really important to integrate, and that's I'm really convinced that. And maybe also the regional metrology organization can have also a big role in this universal adherence of country. Especially, sorry for that, but in the continent of Africa, we have really a strong need to have all these countries coming with the Meta Convention. So I have a second question, so maybe also Mr. 𝐬𝐿 can participate. What particular step or diplomatic efforts might be necessary to overcome resistance or reluctance for some member states? How can position around shared interests and possible economic benefits help broaden international support?
So I think actually the response that we've seen has been overwhelmingly positive towards our proposal. So I don't expect too much resistance from this proposal. And sometimes, a proposal is good when people say, "Oh, that seems so obvious. Why haven't you done that already?" And I think that's definitely something that we've been seeing as we've been going around talking about our proposal. But overall, keeping in mind that focus, that really it is by coming together and working towards consensus, we actually all benefit when we're all at the table and we all can participate and bring our voice to that conversation, particularly as we enter new times of technological challenges where diverse voices are really important to bring to the seat, to have that conversation with us and to participate in that environment. So I think by widening participation, more formally, and as you say, we know already many of those states are already participating through the regional metrology organisations, but to bring them under the international umbrella, to also facilitate access to other international organisations to become observers of our organisation, really strengthens this organisation for all of us and hopefully positions us really well into the future.
Thank you. Mr. 𝐬𝐿, you want to add something?
Yeah, thank you. And I fully agree with what Victoria already mentioned. I think really you see the metrology, as I mentioned earlier, is not only the technical field, it's really changed the society. It's the way of the thinking, is part of the culture. I can still remember, in my personal experience, in my grandparents, my parents, and the new generation, and how the measurement has been changed in our daily life. when we talk about, you see, the width, the mass, and the length, and the size, the volume, and I mean, in the past, you see, the 50 years, I experienced, you see, a lot of change has been happening. So it's really changed the society. So among, you see, this house, definitely you see that nobody will argue that you see how metrology, the importance for the science itself, for the daily life, and for us to advance our modern, you see, society. But I think this kind of a message, we need to really be, I mean, conveyed, you see, to out of the house, to out of our metrology, I mean, community. And like you see, for the International Day on the Metrology, and we need really, you see, to not only celebrating within ourselves, within our, you see, community, we really need to go to the society. We need to go to the schools.
Yeah.
And we need to really engage and other different, you see, the sectors, the societies. And that's why we say, you see, that right now, you see, how science can drive the policy decision making, because we face the similar problem, you see, in general for the science. Our science community, normally, you see, that we all can easily reach some understanding, and we all believe that, you see, science is so important for the evidence-based decision making process. But such kind of the message has not yet been received, I mean, by the policy decision makers at the different levels. At the international level, we're happy we have the IPCC, we have the IPBM, and for the biodiversity. And we have, you see, so many mechanisms that really engage the science into the decision-making process for the negotiation. At the country level, so many countries also, they established some of the science advisory board or the office. So they advise the government how to do that. Recently, you see, in the UN, the Secretary General also established the Secretary General's Science Advisory Board to advise the senior management of the UN. If they took decision, they should base it on the science. But for the metrology, the same. And it's really, you see, that's why we think, you see, science diplomacy is really the opportunity. And for us, and how we can really, you see, engage the society, engage the different partners, is not only talking within ourselves. Of course, you see, it's exchange idea and how we can address the new challenge, and that's very important. I'm just thinking like you see, Professor William, you see, what he talked is very attractive, very interesting. Yeah. Such kind of story, we can make it, maybe you see some small booklet, and we can disseminate it to the school, and also to the decision makers, so they will understand, even to the politicians, so they will understand that, you see, we still have the big challenge ahead of us, even for the time that everybody talk about time. But nobody realized that, you see, for the second, how we can, you see, define the second. So that's the scientific issue, because everybody use that, they just, you see, take it as granted. So nobody can realize it. How we can, I mean, work outside of our house and then to engage more partner, I think should be part of all the responsibility who is really engaged in the metrology, you see, community. We do wonderful job. We know, you see, how important, but this kind of message, how we can really get outside of this house. Thank you.
Thank you.
Magdalene?
Yes, Sharon Mai.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate the BIPM for this initiative in establishing the observer category, which truly makes the opening for all peoples available, right?
Totally agree.
But I also want to address the question you raised with respect to how to overcome perhaps those nations that are resistant or may be resistant to becoming observers. And the perception is that if you are not in the science discipline, when you are looking at metrology, it's not such a sexy subject. So persons may be reluctant to read and to engage, and that may be perceived as resistance. So the important thing, I think, is for us to sensitize our publics, and especially those economies that are not yet members, whether associates or other types of members. If you want to introduce them to the field, then sensitize them at their level, and especially speak to the leaders of the country, because usually the scientists will readily move towards any system that will advance science and technology within their countries. It is those that are at the leadership level that needs to be embraced and sensitized. And when that is done, then what was perceived as resistance will evaporate, and you will see that everyone wants to conform and be a part of this global corporation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. I think that you are right. It's not only the public. We have to educate, of course, the people. We have the public, but we have also all the decision makers and our governments that we have to convince that metrology is essential for the society, for industry, and for innovation. So thanks for adding that. So we arrive to the last panelist, Mustafa. Please, Mustafa, can you introduce yourself with a few words, and then I will ask some questions.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to congratulate the 150th anniversary of the 𝐬𝐴 Convention and Happy Metrology Day. As you see, all the speakers say a lot of good things for the capacity building. How is the metrology important? I am fully agree with them, and I try to give some contribution also.
So please, Mustafa, you are the director of TÜBİTAK, UME. I will ask you some questions.
Yes, please.
So, given the evolving landscape with specific action, such as expanding capacity building efforts, and I think that all the regional metrology organizations and BIPM are doing that, developing new measurement techniques or fostering greater stakeholder engagement, should international organizations prioritize?
Okay, thank you. Let's take a look at what we have been dealing with in the metrology. In the last decade, besides classical methods, quantum metrology, digital transformation, artificial intelligence, biometrology, and etc., the scales we have been working with the range from femto to peta. I mean, from 10 to the minus 15 to 10 to the plus 15. While we currently describe the scale from the 𝐻𝐻 to 𝐻𝐻 in the SI brochure. I mean, from 10 to the minus 30 to 10 to the plus 30. These are really needed in the nowadays priority areas such as space, aviation, defense, security, health, environment, that are defining the targets for metrology. There is no doubt that the development of new measurement techniques and measurement standards in line with the demands for developing technology worldwide should be a priority activity for the entire metrology world. However, since the leadership of international organizations, I mean here the BIPM, and their activities in the relevant fields will require serious financial and human resources in order to meet all needs. It would be more appropriate for the BIPM, for example, to prefer the coordinated scientific and technical studies carried out in international organizations in different countries all around the world. So, IOs should first determine their strategies. While developing the strategy, the inclusion of all relevant parties, I mean, in other international organizations, users, standardization entities, should be ensured. In this case, fostering of the stakeholders' involvement will be actively realized in the development of these strategies. And stakeholders will be informed about determining needs and techniques, methods, and other issues that need to be developed. I mean, raising awareness should be achieved. In addition, for the metrological facilities, international organizations should prioritize the training for human resources and capacity building activities. In particular, the organization of summer schools and settlement programs and the expansion of their scope are indispensable actions. In this context, close cooperation with the universities and educational institutions and the opening of new training programs are other issues that must be insisted on. Activities that help increasing awareness should not be forgotten either. For example, actively communication with the stakeholders and users by making use of media and organizing different events such as congress, workshops, info days, and etc. are obvious examples of the awareness activities. However, international organizations do not need to carry out all technical activities themselves. And this does not mean that they should be completely away from the technical activities, of course. In some technical areas, especially in selected areas, such as cable balance, like BIPM, and within their own organization, scientific activities should be carried out. In general, I want to point out this in response to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mustafa, for that. Yes, we understand that communication is essential as well. I think that quite a lot of NMIs has already some strong relationship with academia, with university. But the point that you raise on to have really stakeholder on board, this is really essential, that for each country that we know exactly what are the needs of our society or our stakeholders, and that we really answer to that. And of course, we have also to train people as well. Are you ready for a second question, Mustafa, or no? No, just it's, we know that in 𝐷𝐷𝐞 you have played a really active role in capacity strengthening. What do you think that are the crucial gaps in current initiative, or your point of view in your country?
First of all, I would like to give brief information about what we as 𝐷𝐷𝐞 do in supporting capacity building and knowledge transfer in the world of metrology. Firstly, we have one-to-one collaborations with NMIs from more than 90 countries so far. And the majority of these efforts are aimed at increasing their metrological infrastructure and measurement capabilities. Secondly, our institute provides strong support to the capacity building initiatives in cooperation with the BIPM, within the different regional metrology organizations. And mainly through the Euromed and GovMed. And the most important program where our institute put a lot of effort is the 𝐷𝐷𝐞 project placement program with the BIPM, which allows young researchers from various designated institutes and NMIs to work in 𝐷𝐷𝐞's laboratories on different tasks on a free of charge basis. So we started with this action, very basic trainings, 8 years ago. And currently, the program has reached a much higher stage, such as researchers from other institutes work on particularly focused subjects, like research on quantum standards, artificial intelligence in metrology applications, production of reference materials. Up to now, we have received totally 429 applications from 33 different countries in 7 cycles since 2018. Unfortunately, in each cycle, in each year, we can host only 10 researchers. The magic number 10 is due to the limitation in our guest house number.
Very nice guest house.
Thirdly, 𝐷 leaded the Metrology Council of 𝐶IMIC. 𝐶IMIC means the Standards and Metrology Institute for the Islamic Countries, since its establishment till last year, 13 years. In this period, we had also given huge support to increase the metrological capacities of the member states. For example, we trained 593 persons from more than 30 countries as free of charge also. So global capacity building on metrology should be supported because it is necessary and important for all members, especially for observer studies, to more diverse stakeholders, or also for the new countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa. Yes, I think that Turkey has been very active in capacity building. And of course, within also Euramet, you have been participating to many activities. So thanks for that. So I think that we arrived to the end of this session. And I think that it's important that maybe we try to have a financial statement. So I would just say that international organizations like BIPM give really a hope for a better world. And we have this, we hear that from this morning many times. I think that it also shows that people can do, when they work together, they really do the best and to advance science and society. And this is important, and metrology shows that for the 150 years up to now. This has been this 150 years history, and I'm sure that we have more adventure and we are already on the way. So who would like to give also some final statement for strong statement? Victoria, you want to start?
Sure. So thanks, Maguelonne. I guess my final takeaway would be just reflecting on the fact that metrology at its very heart is a science of consensus and collaboration across borders, and that survived through the whole history of the treaty, but is, I guess, most well demonstrated by the redefinition in 2018. And it's really important that that collaboration continues, and that we continue to hold the BIPM as that organisation of reference that is so critical to supporting science and innovation across the globe as we move into the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Victoria. Sharon Mae.
Thank you. The BIPM has had a rich legacy of cooperation over the 150 years. And Professor Phillips did a great job in summarizing the work of the BIPM over these years, well, from when he picked up at his point, yes? But we want to see that 150 years hence, that the BIPM's legacy will continue, that the cooperation that has been established internationally and that we have seen regionally, we have our different metrological regional institutions, we have SIM for the Americas, and we have smaller corporations like the Caribbean Corporation through CARICOM and CrossQ. But we want to see that our associate members in the BIPM, that they have greater opportunities to participate and to be at the table. Yes, we are there and we are benefiting from the knowledge transfer and capacity building programs that have been quite effective. And I know there is a willingness from all the presidents to support developing economies, and especially small regions like the Caribbean. But we want to be more actively engaged. And I don't know how you will do it, but I challenge you to do it. It's not just what can be done. It's what we should do to make sure that the voices right across the world are mentioned or referenced at the table, the important decisions and discussions that are held. So I challenge you to do that, because ultimately we want at the end of our tenure in whatever organization, international organizations right across the world, that when we are weighed and measured in the scales of life, we will not be found wanting. I know the BIPM in another 150 years will not be found wanting, but you will have advanced the issue relating to time that challenges us now, and that there will be much more that you will be contributing to our development and our growth as we look at AI and we look at IoT and we look at all of the new technologies that are emerging. So we thank you for what you have done, BIPM. We congratulate you for the legacy that you have, but we challenge you that there is a little more that could be done. Thank you.
Mustafa, you want something?
With your permission, also, I would like to give some contribution for the capacity building.
Sure.
For especially
You're welcome.
why the metrology and why the BIPM is so much important. Why we have to support the BIPM. So, first of all, the well-developed national metrology institutes should provide cash and kind support to the BIPM capacity building and also knowledge transfer first. I mean, financial support from external donors is inevitable. And in my opinion, the most important thing for the achievement of reaching to the desired target is to explain the economic impact of the metrology to the decision makers at high level. For this, I would like to make a suggestion to both the BIPM director and CIPM president, with your permissions. My suggestion is to organize a special season about the economic impact of the metrology at the next CGPM meeting. I don't know why, but maybe it will be very, very beneficial. And actually, no matter what, the global metrology system, for many reasons, needs the existence of BIPM, which was established with the world's second oldest international agreement. And hence, I especially request from the most advanced NMIs to give maximum support to BIPM, not only for the capacity building and knowledge transfer, but also for every metrological activities. Through the program we carry out with the BIPM together, I personally witnessed how admirable it was that the BIPM managed to remain equally distant to all its members. Despite various geopolitical circumstances around the world. But unfortunately, we have not always seen in the regional metrology organizations. And therefore, the BIPM must continue its work, as it has done for the past 150 years, as long as global trade exists. And we must all do our utmost to support the BIPM so that it can serve the world metrology system even much better. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you a lot, Mustafa. So, Alessandro, 𝐿𝐴𝐵, do you have a final statement? Or?
Yes, I'm really pleased. I mean, I must say, okay, this will be... I'm following several organizations, but BIPM is really the best. Because, first of all, the long life of BIPM is not coming from an accident. It is due to the fact that BIPM is adapting very fast to change. For example, I didn't see in other organizations, and I worked a lot at CERN, a so fast adaptation to the trend to digitization, for example, which is also a trend reducing the costs. I also never saw such a community agreeing for the common goods and the common share of open science and open results, and availability towards among different countries. And the institutional flexibility is the key probably for the development of the future of international organization, and in this sense the work done by BIPM in the first 150 years is clearly an example. The task of BIPM is difficult because it involves a shared language which is at the basis of not only of science but also of trade, of health, of innovation, of fields that acquire a different relative weight depending on the period and on the tendencies of the population feelings. And BIPM is faced very well the time of climate crisis and the consequent reactions by different communities that were difficult and in some countries very critical. And providing a reliable metrology for all is not an easy task, but it is a task that is needed if we want to build a common world, and we don't want to avoid in the problems of the Babel Tower. This was said this morning, and the future of the global coordination starts with a common measure. So happy 150 years and happy new 150 years.
Thank you, Alessandro. Mr. Xiaofeng.
Thank you, and I think I just have one. The message that really the International Decade of Science offer the platform for enhancing global measurement infrastructure and for sustainable development. So I really invite all of you to really go to our website to take the look of what the Science Decade and to explore the opportunity and to work together globally so we can bring the measurement to the next phase of this development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we arrived really to the end, so I would like to conclude with a word who have been given by Philippe Taquet, who was the former president of the French Academy of Science, and I think that this summarizes quite well what is BIPM. BIPM is an organization that is a perfect and magnificent example of a work of peace. It symbolizes in a unique manner what people are able to achieve when they pool their wills, their knowledge, their talents, and their abilities. The BIPM was a precursor, and I think that we hope that it will continue for the 150 year next year. Thanks to all of you. So thanks to Victoria, Sharon Mae, Mustafa, Alessandro, and Xiaofeng. Thank you to your attention.